Now that I know how to perform operations with the Cartesian form of a complex number, how do I apply it? Can I do things like solving for unknowns in algebra? How do I solve for unknown variables with complex numbers? This question does not seem to flow from the previous questions, but you will need it for later. It is also good for you to learn that other algebraic methods are useful in complex numbers. Let us consider the following example. Given z1 is equivalent to minus 8 minus 6i, and z2 is equivalent to x squared minus y squared plus 2xyi, find the values of x and y if z1 equals z2 and x and y belong to the set of real numbers. So given z1 equals z2, then minus 8 minus 6i is equivalent to x squared minus y squared plus 2xyi. So that means the real number of z1 is equivalent to the real number of z2, which implies that x squared minus y squared is equal to negative 8, and we'll call this equation 1. And from this, we can also know that the imaginary number of z1 is equivalent to the imaginary number of z2, which implies that 2xy is equivalent to minus 6, which implies that xy is equivalent to negative 3. And we'll call this equation number 2. From equation 2, we can see that y is equivalent to negative 3 over x, and I'll call this equation number 3. From here, I can substitute equation number 3 into equation number 1, and I can obtain x squared minus 3 over x all squared is equivalent to negative 8. If I let x equal x squared, then I can have capital X minus 9 over capital X is equal to negative 8. If I multiply by x on both sides, I get x squared minus 9 is equivalent to negative 8x. I can simplify this and obtain a quadratic equation, which I can factorize and obtain x is equal to negative 9 or x is equal to 1. But x is equivalent to x squared, so that means that x squared is equivalent to negative 9 and x squared is equivalent to 1. But x squared equal negative 9 is invalid since it implies that x is equivalent to plus or minus the square root of negative 9. And x belongs to the set of real numbers. So the only possible answer is x plus or minus the square root of 1, which is equivalent to plus or minus 1. When x is equivalent to negative 1, then y would be equivalent to negative 3 or negative 1, which is 3, and this comes from equation number 2. When x is equivalent to 2, then y is equivalent to negative 3. Therefore, I get x is negative 1, y is positive 3, or x is 1 and y is negative 3.